Divorce, it's a word that carries weight of heartbreak, regret, silence, and sometimes shame. For many, the decision was painful. For some, it was necessary. And for others, it feels like an irreversible chapter they wish they could rewrite. But once it's done, what now? We often forget. It's not just two adults who walk through the separation. It's also the children, watching, wondering, and aching in ways words can't express. But the story doesn't have to end in damage. This story isn't about blame. It's about what can be done now to heal, to rebuild, to love our children better, and to invite God into the aftermath. Because even when something breaks, God can still make beauty from the pieces. J-MUP Books presents When the House Broke, God Moved In. A story of brokenness, healing, and a God who rebuilds. Written by Tanvi Joseph. Chapter 1. A House Once Whole. There once was a quiet neighborhood at the edge of a city where a modest home stood, walls painted in soft cream, a swing in the front yard, and two bicycles always tipped against the garage. Inside lived Aarav and Sarah, a brother and sister who shared stories over late-night cocoa, built forts out of blankets, and laughed at their dog chasing its tail. But what once felt like home had begun to shift. The laughter grew shorter, the silence longer. Their parents, Daniel and Rhea, sat at dinner, rarely looking at each other. Words that once brought warmth now became weapons. Some days they barely spoke at all. The house wasn't physically broken, but its heartbeat, the love and peace that made it a home, was missing. Chapter 2. The Breaking Point. One rainy evening, Aarav, a 13-year-old, overheard something he couldn't unhear. "We can't keep pretending," his father whispered. "We've grown too far apart. We only hurt each other now." His mother's quiet sobs answered the rest. When they finally told the children that they'd be separating, Sarah, who's 10, asked only one question. "Will it be my fault?" Rhea knelt down. "Never, not in a million years." But shame is a silent teacher. In school, Aarav avoided eye contact when friends talked about family vacations. Sarah hesitated to bring anyone home. There were whispers, questions, isolation. Chapter 3. A Prayer in Two Homes. Though separated, both Daniel and Rhea carried a grief deeper than words. Not just for their marriage, but for their children's silent suffering. One night, alone in his apartment, Daniel knelt and prayed through tears. "God, I failed at being the husband I should have been. I let bitterness win, but please, don't let my children pay for what I couldn't hold together." In another home, Rhea whispered in her room, "I tried so hard, but now I don't know how to fix what's broken. Please, Father, be their peace. Give them what I couldn't give." That night, though apart, both parents invited the same God into their mess. And that changed everything. Chapter 4. Healing in Pieces. The healing didn't come like lightning. It came slowly, like spring after a long winter. Daniel began taking Aarav on walks again. They talked about school, soccer, and sometimes just sat in silence. One day he asked, "Do you hate me?" Aarav didn't answer right away. Then softly, "I used to. But you're still my dad." Rhea began nightly prayers with Sarah. One night Sarah asked, "Is God mad at you and Daddy?" "No," Rhea said. "God's heart breaks when we hurt each other, but He never stops loving us, and He's healing us all." They started attending church separately, but the kids saw something different in both homes. Peace, not perfection, but a humble, growing peace. Chapter 5. God moved in one Sunday. The children's ministry at church gave Aarav and Sarah a verse to memorize. Though my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will receive me. Psalm 27:10. Sarah asked, "Does this mean you'll leave me too?" Daniel answered gently, "No, love, we're not forsaking you. But even if we mess up again, God will never leave you." They framed that verse on both bedroom walls. The homes looked different now. One house had a coffee table too big for two. Another had Sarah's drawings all over the fridge. But in both homes, something new was growing. Forgiveness instead of fear. Prayers instead of shouting, intentional presence. Instead of passive guilt. Aarav and Sarah didn't have the same family as before. But they had two parents who loved them deeply, and a God who stood in the gaps. Epilogue: From brokenness to beauty. Years later, Aarav would share his testimony at youth group. "My parents didn't make it work together, but they did make it work for us, with God's help. What broke them brought us to Jesus." Sarah, now a young woman, would journal, "God didn't fix everything, but He fixed what mattered in me." If you're longing to weave your heart into the Word of God, DM us. We believe it is only God who can truly heal your brokenness. His Word can edify, restore, and rekindle the joy you may have lost. Let's walk this journey of faith together.